An umbrella for two. The rain fell in relentless gray sheets, blurring the city into a watercolor of neon and asphalt. Shizuku, then just a high schooler in a uniform that felt too big for her, huddled under the narrow awning of a closed bookstore. She'd forgotten her umbrella again. Around her, people were just colorful blurs, shielded and purposeful, while she was stuck, watching the world through a curtain of water. Suddenly, a slice of black cut through the gray. An umbrella, large and sturdy, appeared at the edge of her vision. Beneath it stood a boy from a neighboring school, his face partially obscured by shadow. He didn't speak, just tilted the umbrella, a silent invitation into his small, dry world. Hesitantly, she stepped in beside him. They walked in a comfortable, unspoken rhythm, the only sound, the drumming of rain on the taut fabric above them. When they reached her station, she turned to finally say thank you, to ask his name, but he just gave a small, almost imperceptible nod and melted back into the crowd, leaving her with only the memory of shared silence. Years passed. The rain remained a constant companion to the city. Shizuku, now a university student, wrestled with a flimsy, inside-out umbrella as a sudden gust of wind tore it from her grasp. Late for an exam, soaked and frustrated, she felt a familiar sting of loneliness, a feeling as cold as the raindrops trickling down her neck. And then, a familiar patch of darkness blotted out the weeping gray sky. She looked up to see the same large, black umbrella, and under it, the same boy, now a young man. His features were clearer now, but his eyes held the same quiet gentleness. "Looks like you could use this," he said, his voice calm amidst the storm. This time, there was no silence. They walked, and the space beneath the umbrella filled with words about classes, dreams, and the strange coincidence of the rain. The city's noise faded into a distant hum, and the downpour felt less like an assault and more like a curtain, creating a world that belonged only to them. His name was Yu. It became their secret. They never planned to meet, but when the skies turned gray and the first drops began to fall, they would both find their way to the same streets, the same parks, the same coffee shops. The rain was their messenger, their excuse, their reason. Their love story was written in condensation on window panes. One Tuesday, the forecast promised a deluge. Shizuku stood by their usual fountain, the black umbrella, a gift from him, held tight in her hand. She waited. The drizzle turned into a downpour. The city lights began to bleed into the evening puddles. But you didn't come. A cold, heavy feeling started to pool in her heart. The rain stopped the next morning. A week of brilliant, unrelenting sunshine followed. The city celebrated, but for Shizuku, the world had never seemed so colorless. The blue sky felt like a mockery. She carried his black umbrella with her every day, a silent prayer for clouds, a desperate hope for a sign. Months later, a soft rain finally returned, whispering against the pavement. As Shizuku walked, holding the umbrella open against the gentle drizzle, an old woman stopped her. "That was my grandson's," she said, her voice soft with grief. He loved the rain. He said it made the noisy world feel peaceful. She explained he'd passed away during the long, sunny spell. He told me if I ever saw you, to say he's sorry he missed the last rain. Shizuku stood motionless, tears tracing silent paths down her cheeks, mingling with the rain he loved so much. The umbrella, his final embrace, kept her sheltered from the storm. The seasons turned, and the rain became a gentle friend once more. On the anniversary of their first meeting, Shizuku stood before a simple stone marker, the black umbrella held high. She no longer cried. Instead, she closed her eyes and listened, feeling the rhythm you had loved, the peaceful drumming on the fabric, the hush it brought to the world. She was learning to find him, not in his absence, but in the quiet beauty he had shown her. Leaving the cemetery, the rain began to soften to a fine mist. Ahead, huddled under the narrow awning of a bus stop, was a young student, soaked and shivering. Shizuku paused, seeing a reflection of herself from so long ago. She walked over, the memory of a silent kindness echoing in her heart. She didn't speak, just tilted the umbrella, a silent invitation into her small, dry world. The rain, once a symbol of her loss, was now a chance to share his legacy of quiet care.